most consultants think that their problem is getting more clients and more leads. It isn't. The actual real issue is that their delivery models are broken and they can't actually absorb more growth. So meaning more clients. And as long as you only chase leads without fixing the vehicle of how you deliver your work, your business would just get more complicated and louder. And that's why you have to fix the operations and delivery first, and growth then stops feeling like it's dangerous. And I used to believe that the bigger the business is, that will mean more freedom, because I thought I'll have more money, I'll have, cash flow, I can hire help, I can do things, I can outsource stuff. And it made sense. And revenue was growing when I was running my agencies back in the day. But what broke it was actually realizing that every increase came at a massive expense, massive cost of more responsibility, bigger team that equals more responsibility and less space in my life, because there were just more decisions that I needed to make. And so now I believe that freedom is actually built based on, or comes from, constraints, and not the scale, as in more clients. I'm not saying you shouldn't get more clients, that can come later, but you have to think through how your business is operating first before you add more fuel to the fire. Because I've seen that for my own business, and I've seen that, with consultants and agencies that have worked as clients, is that whenever everything is kind of duct taped in your business, um, meaning you don't really have processes and systems and ways of doing things. When I say systems, I don't mean IT systems. I just mean way, or a way, your approach. Like, how do we do this? Do we reinvent the wheel from scratch or not? So if everything is duct taped, and on top of that, everything is custom for every client, so you figured out reinvent the wheel every time you start a project, then if you add more leads to it, more fuel to the fire, it's like a balloon that's duct taped and it's just gonna burst. And so, it does, scaling does feel good for us because we get more money, but the trade-off is that, more delivery actually equals more pressure and less flexibility and less freedom. And for me, freedom, like, I always wanted to have a freedom first business. Like, I didn't start a business to be in a cage um, of a 9 to 5, right? I mean, if you work for someone, and the reason why I left the corporate world is to be free and to be able to do things on my own terms and at my own pace and time. And I realized that as I scaled, I actually built another monster that's actually another cage, that's just a cage, is just with a different logo, my logo and my name on it. And so that made no sense. Um, so, because, like, if you think about how most consultants scale, they scale through adding more clients, and then because of the custom work that they deliver, they need more team to support the delivery. And so because of the custom work, there's not much space for productization and optimization of the delivery. So it's kind of like a closed loop or a vicious circle, and you build this massive, hungry monster called, consulting business or agency, where every client means custom work, and every new client or every few new clients means you have to hire again, and that means more problems, that means more decisions. And the real cost of custom work isn't really the time, it is that constant decision making in your head. And so you'll often hear that, oh, why don't you just hire help? And I'm all for, like, outsourcing as much as possible to other people. That's the base of my DED formula: delete, automate, delegate. The last bit, delegate, is all about outsourcing, delegating to someone else. But that works if your business is already standardized, really, because otherwise it breaks when everything is custom and decisions really live in your head. And because everything will go back to you, like everything has to go through you as the founder, and you're like the bottleneck, right? So at that point, the goal really isn't hiring, it's removing the complexity. Like, why is everything going through me? Why is everything going through this bottleneck? Why am I the bottleneck? How else can I structure my business so that I can scale in a different way, so that I can have more time without hiring more people? Because if you think about it again, hiring more people is adding complexity to your business. It's not making things easier. Removing things from the business, it is or means that you're making things simpler, faster, more efficient. But if you add another human being to the equation, then you're adding more complexity, because that's another person who is, yes, they do will take the work, but also they'll have questions, but also you have to manage them, but also they get sick, but also they want to take time off, but also they want a bonus, but also they want to, a raise. And so all these things add up, and where do you think it lands? It lands on your plate when it comes to making decisions, right? So it's all about, if you strategically think about it, because everyone is looking for like tactics of like, how do I get more leads, how do I do this, how do I do that. I think like when you're building a business, consulting business, or any business for that matter, it's like you have to look at things from a kind of helicopter view, and look at it from a big picture. Like, what is it that I'm trying to build? And do not follow the advice that's so common out there, like just scale more, and more revenue and more cash flow. And that's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't have more cash flow or more revenue and more profits, but this is just a small puzzle of the big picture. So you have to zoom out and think, okay, what is it that I'm building? What is the ultimate definition for me of like what I'm trying to build? What is the ultimate definition of freedom? What is the experience I want to have in my business? That's one of the key questions that I ask my clients. Like, what revenue do you want to be making, and what is the experience you want to have in your business? Are you willing to work 80 hours per week? And believe me, but there's some people who will say yes. Um, or do you want to travel more, or do you have a family, or can you only dedicate 25 hours per week? Like, what is the experience? Or do you want to do deliver the work, or are you more of a manager, and you want to manage others? So all that matters when you build your business. And today someone actually messaged me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm curious, what do you think is the best consulting model? And I said, well, it's really hard to give you the best without knowing who you are and what you do and like what are your goals, because it's like it's as if the same person went to a doctor and they said, hey, what is the best pill for my health? It really depends what bothers you and like what are you trying to achieve. But if I was to make a blank statement, I would say a productized group consulting model is one of the most efficient ones. And then the question is like, are you okay with that model or not? And what is important, and I will shoot another video, whole video on this. What is important there is that customization is not something that our clients expect from us. Customization is how we're being pushed by our clients into customized work, and we agree on customized work, and we deliver customized work because of our delivery model, because of the lack of other options, because of the lack of systematization, standardization, productization. We do these things because we don't have the other things. It doesn't mean this is a given or an expectation. Your clients don't really necessarily want you to reinvent the wheel for them. They don't care. What they care is the outcome for them. And don't get this confused with, when I say customized, let's say you build websites. Obviously, that website has to be customized for a client, different logo, different copy, different, design, whatever. But your client is not asking you to customize how you approach the delivery of that product, right? So there is always a level of customization, even in my work, and I'm highly productized, and I teach productized, and I teach group consulting. Even in my work, I do, and having 50 plus clients, like I need to customize my delivery towards those clients so that they can get results, because they're each of their situation is different. But it doesn't mean I do it individually on a custom one-on-one basis. There is customization that's baked into productization of how I deliver things. And now with AI, that customization is even better and easier these days. It's easier than ever. Like right now, you don't have to do these things yourself. If you're smart about it, you can use AI, you can deploy, you can extract all your IP to AI and then leverage AI and teach the client how to use the AI so that they actually get the custom version of your delivery. So we're kind of being pushed into customization by the market, in a sense that that's how everyone else is delivering things, and we're not questioning this. Um, but we're not pushed there by our clients, and we're being pushed there by kind of, just following the herd, and not inventing a new approach of how else, not questioning how else can I deliver this thing. Um, because if you think about it, there are different ways. If you challenge yourself, if you ask yourself, okay, well, this is the goal. We do it in this. We're reaching this goal. The delivery is happening in this and this way. Right now, how else could I achieve that goal? What else can I do to achieve the same result for the client? And that question will lead you to a path of elimination of elements, which is, the foundation of scaling. Scaling is removing things and then scaling the simplicity. If you scale something that's chaotic and complex, you scale complexity, which again, in turn, a vicious circle, closed loop, requires you to pay more attention and manage this situation even more. And so that pulls you away from the freedom that you want. I'm assuming you want the freedom. So questioning, the path and questioning how we do things is super important. And this brings me to an example from my previous work when I was working as a fraud investigator and compliance officer, and I was advising companies on how to prevent fraud and corruption and bribery. And I would, for me to do that, I needed to be really well versed with understanding how the business works, so that I can spot the gaps and I can close identify the flaws and suggest solutions. And those solutions and gaps needed to be filled, or delivered in a way that it's just not like a legal compliance ethics perspective, but it also has to ensure that the business keeps on growing, right? So it couldn't just say, "Oh, just stop the business because that's the safest way." No, it's not. I mean, it is in a sense, but that's not why the business exists, right? And so I needed to provide actual strategic business solutions, and this is what led me to become a business consultant in the end. But very often the question I would get from those big projects, and we're talking Fortune 50 companies, is that I would question them, ask them out of curiosity, not a challenge, of like, why are you guys doing this way? And they would tell me, well, we're doing this way because we've been doing this for the past 20 years. And that already is a problem from an efficiency perspective. If you've been doing something for 20 years, and I know there's this notion that I keep telling people as well, do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So maybe in their head, they were thinking, oh, well, we've been doing this for 20 years, so it must be working, it's delivering the results. But they never questioned whether this is still the most efficient way to do it, right? So that question has to be asked. And so you coming into a consulting business, you need to you need to ask yourself a question like, I've seen this on the market, I've seen how people do this. Is this still the best option? Is this still the most efficient way? Is this still the most productive way? Is it still the thing that I want to do? Because like, if you told me that I should be now doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live or LinkedIn Live, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. But I'm happy to record this video for YouTube and Spotify. So I'm bringing this as an example of like, we all have to choose the tools and the paths that work for us. And So step number one is question, like, is this working for me? Is this the best way to do it? Is there any better way? And then looking at the delivery side of things and decide, is this something that I want to do, right? So it's a nice kind of path and journey that I go on with my clients where we discover different, I do have different frameworks, methodologies, and models. They look at them and then we apply these models and tweak these models so that it fits their business and it fits their definition of the success and it fits their definition of freedom as well. So if I were actually fixing, a stuck consulting business, I would probably focus on a couple of things here. Number one, I would look at the offer, and the offer includes the boundaries that come with the offer as well. A lot of clients, a lot of consultants do not have the proper offer in place, and that goes back to doing everything custom. The client comes to you and says, "Hey, can you do this for me?" You're like, "Well, I need money. I'm gonna do it." But so you don't have a consistent, structured, standardized, repeatable offer, and that is a massive problem because if you have a good offer in place, then marketing is easier. Finding the right clients is easier because you're just looking for clients who are looking for this solution. That's number one. So marketing is easier. Sales are easier as well because if you find someone who's looking for this specific solution, someone who has a problem, and you do have a solution, then your sales is just a perfect match. Your product is a perfect match, and so sales is easy, right? And so, and an offer also means that there is a package that you deliver, and that package includes the boundaries for the client. So there's no scope creep, right? This is what you buy, dear client. This is the product. And that if you want something else, then we have to scope it out, and maybe you have to buy a different package or a different offer. But like, there's no additional elements outside of this box. So offer is number one. Offer is something I would look at, as step number one. Step number two, I would look at delivery. Like what is it that we deliver? What is the scope, and how do we deliver that? And again, going back to the custom work, I would stay away from custom work as much as possible, and try to productize as much as I can and standardize as much as I can. And that way, that is your leverage, right? You no longer have to hire more people to run your system. You can scale your system, right? So delivery has to be all about the systems and the productized, standardized IP from your head, instead of hiring people who will be junior you, and then you have to manage them. That should be a priority. So that would be number two, just looking at what is the delivery model and how can we optimize that model. And number three, I would probably look at client selection. So I would look at positioning, like how do you position yourself and what kind of clients do you attract. The thing is that a lot of my clients and a lot of consultants tell me this. They're like, "Oh, well, because I'm like, why do you work with these clients? Clients who have no money." Well, that's, we're not attracting any other clients. Well, so that statement already is an answer to what's going on. If you're not attracting the right clients, then that means your marketing is not working properly. I mean, it's working properly for attracting the low paying clients. But if you want to attract higher paying clients, you have to change your marketing. Your marketing level of your marketing, sophistication of your marketing, the tactics, the vehicles or the funnels that you use, they have to match the level of the client you're trying to attract. And that goes also for the pricing structure, that goes also for the delivery, models, that goes also for the offer and the scope of work. So it's not that there are no clients who are paid, large amounts of money for the projects. It's just you have been building a system, a model, a business. You have a business that is not attracting them. It's your business is attracting different type of clients. And so what you need to do, you need to start with understanding, like, what is my positioning? What is it that those, bigger clients are challenged with? Like, what are the challenges? How can I position myself as someone who is delivering the solution for the challenge? And then what is my delivery model that fits that narrative? And then what is the pricing as well, right? The pricing does have a big impact on everything because we do as humans perceive the value of our work through a lens of price or cost, right? And there's been, um, studies done on it multiple times. So if you attract lower paying clients and you put the price tag that's low, then that automatically um, signals to those higher paying clients that you're just maybe not providing a good quality work, or you're not professional, whatever, whatever that is. So pricing is very important in client selection as well. You have to choose the price accordingly to the level of the problem that you solve as well. And a lot of my clients and consultants I see in the market, whether they're playing the small league, they're fixing the small problems of small players, and they do have the skill to fix a bigger problem of a bigger player. There is a blog they have, the mindset blog of like, well, I need to start somewhere on the bottom. You don't. If you have the skill, if you know how to fix the problem of a bigger player, you should play in that higher in that bigger league and charge more money for it. Um, because the bigger problem you fix, the more money you can charge for that problem, right? It's the value-based pricing. If someone has $100,000 problem and you fix it for 10,000, then they got a 10x ROI and you got $10,000. But if you fix a $10,000 problem and you charge 1,000, they still got a 10x, but you got just $1,000. And now you have to work with 10 clients like that to get to the 10 grand, from the previous scenario. And it's way harder to um, find 10 clients who will pay you $1,000 and convince 10 clients to pay you $1,000 than it is to find and convince one person or one client or one business to pay you $10,000. Especially if your positioning is meeting where they are and your branding is on point and your marketing is on point and everything that we discussed is on point. So if at any point selling feels heavy, it's rarely about the confidence of the person that's on the other side. It's usually the offer is too open-ended, and there's no offer market fit, and there is often that disconnect between who we want to work with and who we're attracting, who we're talking to. So problems in sales, they expose the upstream problems, not the downstream problems. It's not about the objections. And the reason why you're getting objections is because there's no offer market fit. There's no problem solution fit. You are the solution and someone has a problem. And if there's no fit, it's just going to be a lot of objections because they don't see the value in what you have to do. You have to provide as part of your delivery. So that's kind of like the overall idea behind why most consultants think their problem is lead generation, but actually, as you can see, there's a lot of upstream problems and there's a lot of things that you have to fix before you even think about lead generation. And in this video, you can also see like how to think about lead generation through a perspective of offer, product market fit, positioning, pricing, right? So don't focus solely on lead generation as a tactic, but look at it from a more strategic perspective.